One of the big things about university is that sometimes you get to travel abroad. Europe and America are both expensive places to go film, so instead we got an American that was already here.
I'm Sanzo, and I study acting. I'm going to get a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Acting at Oklahoma City University in Oklahoma.
How much are your tuition fees?
Per year to go to my university about $30,000 a year. So yeah, it's a private university, so they can charge whatever they want.
Yeah.
But most people that go are on scholarship. Some have full ride scholarships and don't have to pay a cent. But I got, per year, I got $1,000 from the acting department, and I got $9,000 from the school for grades.
Right.
So it only cost me. It cost me about $10,000 a semester,
Right.
which is still significantly more expensive than most universities. But my parents pay most of my tuition, so, well, yeah, my parents pay all of my tuition. I just have to cover rent for my apartment, and they pay food, so it really helps with my parents. But a lot of people are on scholarships, or they have taken out significant loans that they will have to pay back, and they take these loans out from banks.
What advice would you give financially to someone who's about to start university?
I would say don't miss out on all of the opportunities, because there are a lot of privately funded scholarships, just, you know, people set up organizations for scholarships. There are a good amount of ways to get money for school, you know, aside from the government and bank loans and school scholarships. So just look and do research, and you can find something to help you out.
It's good to be set up with a job when you leave, but what about if you need money for while you're studying? Then it's time to visit the job club.
My name's Catherine McKinnon. My job title is Employer Liaison Officer, which means that I liaise with employers out in the community. I try and find part-time and casual work for students whilst they're studying with us, and I also help organise 2 of the faculty careers fairs every year.
When a student first comes to university, how long does it take them to get a part-time job?
We find that most students wait till about November time, October-November time, before they actually actively seek work. So just trying to find their feet, really. But that's quite good, because it coincides with the recruitment for Christmas vacancies in the various retail shops, you know, like Tesco's, or also for events. The period of time after Christmas is quite difficult, but then the students will have had their next instalment of their loan, but then come sort of February, March time, they're then looking for work again. But then we have sort of over the Easter period and then for the Grand National.
So it's very on-off, is it?
Before Christmas is a good time to look for a job. Then after Christmas, everybody's then trying to find a job to get them through to the end of term. So January is quite difficult. Right. But what I have found is some of the sectors, despite the economic recession, are doing really well. And health and social care, there's lots of vacancies to work to provide social care for vulnerable adults or children.
What services do you provide to help the students?
As well as finding part-time jobs, casual jobs over the winter months, in the summer we've got lots of opportunities for students. We have Camp America who come in. Up until last year they only came to 2 universities in the northwest, Manchester and Liverpool, and for the first time ever they came to Edge Hill, so they're back today. So that's opportunities to work in summer camps with young people and children. When you get over there, you work for 9 weeks. The first week you get acclimatised, you meet your fellow students, you also get any training you need, and then for 8 weeks you're working, if you want to work directly with the children or young people, you can do. At the end of your 9 weeks you get paid about $1,000. Now some students might think, okay, I'll bank that and come home, which is okay, but it's a fantastic opportunity whilst you're out there to go and explore America. And you're meeting young people from all over the world, basically. And what a lot of students do is hire a minibus and just go off travelling. Right. So you're not actually out of pocket. You can come home in profit with a bit of extra cash. Right. But most people take the opportunity whilst they're over in America to actually work there.
What services or opportunities do other universities offer that you might know of?
I signed up to an organisation called NACIS, which sort of overlooks all the universities that provide, and they call it a job shop. And most universities, it's either the Careers Centre who provides the job shop, or it's the Students' Union that provides the services to help students find employment. What we recommend is that students don't work any more than 15 hours a week if they're a full-time student, because the priorities is the studies, and we feel that as an organisation we feel that it's too much for a student to take on if they're working 16 or more hours a week. So we also have a code of practice which we ask employers to read and agree to before we take on any vacancies, just to protect the students, to make sure they're not going into anything that's not above board.
So how much do you get? Minimum wage is expected, but what if you work at the university? So do you know what the minimum wage is?
I can tell you what that is. It is £5.80.
Correct.
£5.80. And then for our students that work on campus as casuals, we pay £6.94.
Students come in all creeds, colours and abilities, so it's important that everyone has an equal footing. Head Your Head is here to ensure this.
My name's Julie Keane and I coordinate the dyslexia SPLD support for Edge Hill University. I work for the Edge Your Head Centre.
What financial support is available to disabled students?
The Disabled Students Allowance for dyslexic students can pay for any additional one-to-one support on a regular basis if that's deemed necessary for the student. It also pays for any technology or equipment as well that might be useful for the student to help them through their course throughout the degree.
How does a student access this support? What procedures do they have to go through?
Right, okay. The student first has to be formally assessed with a learning difficulty such as dyslexia, and that has to be done by an educational psychologist. So once they've got an educational psychologist report that confirms they are dyslexic, then they can apply for the Disabled Students Allowance, but they have to have formal evidence. There is a contribution, unfortunately, of £100 towards the assessment, which we had to put in place just recently because the higher education funding actually cut a lot of the access to learning funds, so we've had to put this contribution in place.
Do you offer support in helping these students access these funds?
We do, yes. Once a student's been assessed, we actually help them with the application for Disabled Students Allowance. They can apply online, but we do print out the copies of the forms and we can go through the forms with the students and help them with the application, yeah. If they've never been assessed before, they don't know what's available, so we talk to them about all of those processes and what they can access and what they can't. But the funding itself is dependent on each individual student, so some students might not need access to any technology and they might only need a few hours of support, because dyslexia is one of those disabilities where it's on a spectrum from mild through to severe. It really depends on each individual student as to whether they get what they get from the funding.
What financial advice would you give a student with disabilities or learning difficulties?
I would say find out whatever, as soon as you get in. In fact, even when you're looking at open days, whatever open days you go to and you're making a decision about which university you go to, I would say find out what support is available for you.
Still confused at which direction to take at university? Walking around in circles? Let's see what advice our experts had to say.
I'd say if you're local to the area and you already have a part-time job at weekends, so long as it's not too many hours, I would say probably try and keep hold of that job.
A lot of students work now, don't they? And it's trying to balance that alongside the study, because I think I know a lot of students that we interview here at the Careers Centre when they come for careers appointments are finding it difficult because they have to have an income, but they're also trying to study at the same time.
What about from a student's perspective? I went to the student union to find out.
Probably the best advice is that you can fit in a part-time job and do 10 to 17 hours a week or something like that, which was accessible to me. I ended up getting a 2-1.
So there you go. The best piece of advice is you're going to have to stop being lazy and go out and get a part-time job. But of course you have to keep other factors in mind as well, such as learn to budget, don't rely on your student loan, and have a career plan in mind. Okay, Jill, thanks for your tips and your ducks. Until next time, see you later.